morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 1. Suturuvacha Vayashake iti vacha Tatva nischyamatmanaha Upadarya matim Krishne Otareya satim vyadat. Word for word. Sutta uvacha. Sutta Goswami said, Vayashake of Sukadeva Goswami. Iti, thus. Vacha, speeches. Tattva nischayam, that which verifies the truth. Atmana, in the self. Upadarya, just having realized. Matim, concentration of the mind. Krishna, unto Lord Krishna. Otareya, the son of Uttara. Satim, chaste. Vyadat, applied. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadeva Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. Translation, please repeat. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadeva Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. Purport, the word satim is very significant. This means existing and chaste, and both imports are perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. The whole Vedic adventure is to draw one's attention entirely unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna without any diversion, as already instructed in Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Fortunately, Maharaj Parikshit had already been attracted to the Lord from the very beginning of his body in the womb of his mother. In the womb of his mother, he was struck by the Brahmastra atomic bomb released by Ashwatthama, but by the grace of the Lord he was saved from being burnt by the fiery weapon, and since then the king continuously concentrated his mind upon Lord Krishna, which made him perfectly chaste in devotional service. So, by natural sequence, he was a chaste devotee of the Lord, and when he further heard from Srila Sukadeva Goswami that one should worship the Lord only and no one else, even though full of all desires or desireless, his natural affection for Krishna was strengthened. We have already discussed these topics. To become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, two things are very much essential, namely having a chance to be born in the family of a devotee and having the blessings of a bona fide spiritual master. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj had both opportunities. He was born in a family of such devotees as the Pandavas, and just to continue the dynasty of the Pandavas and show them special favor, the Lord specifically saved Maharaj Parikshit, who later on, by the arrangement of the Lord, was cursed by the boy of a Brahmana and was able to get the association of such a spiritual master as Sukadeva Goswami. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that a fortunate person, by the mercy of the spiritual master and Lord Krishna, achieves the path of devotional service. This was perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. By way of being born in a family of devotees, he automatically came in touch with Krishna, and after being so contacted, he constantly remembered him. Consequently, Lord Krishna gave the king a further chance for development in devotional service by introducing him to Sukadeva Goswami, a stalwart devotee of the Lord with perfect knowledge in self-realization. And by hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, he was perfectly able to concentrate his chaste mind further upon Lord Krishna as a matter of course. Suruvacha vayashaketi vachas tatpa nischayam atmana upadarya Krishna otadeya satim vyadat. Sukadeva Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Sukadeva Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. So Sukadeva Goswami is speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya. Vayashake iti vachas. This is a word is used because Vayashake means Sukadeva Goswami, who is the Shaki, or the son of Srila Vyasadeva. Is the meaning of Vayashaki. Vayashaki or Vyashake. The son of Vyasadeva. So now Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport here about being born in the family of the Vaishnava. So Sukadeva Goswami himself, as Maharaj Parikshit, both of them were very fortunate in being born in the family of the devotees, because Vyasadeva, a very empowered incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his wife, the whole family was Vaishnavas. And Maharaj Parikshit in the whole Pandava line. So is very, very fortunate. And here the words used also, here Prabhupada emphasized the word chaste. Maharaj Parikshit, very chaste devotee. Also, in regard to Sukadeva Goswami, he was a stalwart devotee. Now, chaste, stalwart. Now we have to, this doesn't mean one is proud and arrogant or stubborn, devout, stalwart, chaste. These are some adjectives that are used to describe those are very fixed up and don't think about other things. They don't think about it. So, of course, here Prabhupada describes the history of Maharaj Parikshit, and most of us know this history, how he was saved by the Supreme Personality of God himself when Ashvatthama threw the Brahmastra weapon to kill all the remaining descendants of the Pandavas. Now, Prabhupada also, he points out here that Krishna wanted to preserve the descendants of the Pandavas. He wanted to make sure that Ashvatthama did not kill the body of Maharaj Parikshit. He wanted to have the descendants of the Pandavas in the position of the king and the emperor. Krishna likes that the leaders are devotees. And certainly in the former age, the Dwapara Yuga, there was ample opportunity for that. So Krishna very much wanted to preserve that the leadership of the position of the king and emperor was to remain in with Maharaj Parikshit, and Maharaj Parikshit being a great devotee. So leaders is very important. Now in Kali Yuga, of course, there's another thing. And one time Prabhupada actually said about people in general. He said people in general, they are very, they are misled by the leaders. He said generally, because someone was giving him a report of the activities of spreading Krishna consciousness, I think at the time was Africa. And he said that when we go on the chanting, when we sell our books, the people are very receptive. They don't know anything about it, but they feel very interested to know. And Prabhupada made the comment, yes, the people in general are very innocent. They are being misled by the leaders. And so he was critical of the leaders who weren't in the Krishna consciousness, especially misleading them into all sorts of sinful activities. And so, unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, leaders of the world, they are not Krishna conscious or even God conscious. So, therefore, because of that deficiency and because of thinking in certain ways to increase sense gratification and by any means, therefore, indulging in and advocating and increasing sinful activities, people, the whole situation has become very, 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 what's the word? Very, very dangerous, actually, materially and spiritually. But Krishna is very interested to have the leadership as devotee. So the Prabhupada makes a point of this, that that he wanted to preserve that line, and therefore he saved Maharaj Parikshit's body. And on top of that, he gave, he was born in the family of devotees, so he's a very special soul. Very, very special. Prapya punya kitam lokan suchinam shrimatam gaya yoga prashto vijayate. There's many verses in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Prapya punya kita lokan. Arjuna asked the question of Krishna, if someone takes up the path of transcendental, the yogi takes up the path of spirituality, but due to worldly mindedness does not, persevere, goes away from that path, what is his destination? And of course, Krishna is very wonderful reply to Arjuna. Patana vena muta vena sastasya vidyate tasya katara. Nahi kalyanakit kasya durgatim dadagattati. A transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world nor in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Very famous verses from the Bhagavad Gita. So then he goes on to say, Prapya punya kitam lokam. Generally, now, Prabhupada gives nice explanations here in this particular section of Bhagavad Gita, that those who follow the spiritual path, even due to worldly mindedness, do not persevere and go away, still it is not lost. Then he categorizes different types of people. Prapya punya kitam lokan. Krishna says, after many, many years of enjoyment in the planets of the pious living entities, one is born into the righteous family or into the family of rich aristocracy. Now, Prabhupada gives an explanation very nicely. He says that there are different categories of persons who follow the spiritual path. One follows the spiritual path for a short time and then goes away. One follows the spiritual path for a long time and then goes away. And he gives the he gives the explanation what is the destination. Now, as far as elevation, he says that those who follow for a short time can be elevated to the heavenly planets, where they are given a chance by Krishna to indulge their desire for sense gratification. But because they engaged in transcendental activity, they're elevated. They're elevated. Now, Prabhupada says here there are three categories of being elevated, even after a short practice. One category is those who follow the Karmakanda section of the Veda and practice very strictly the rules and regulations of elevation to a higher position. One can come back in a higher position in this world, or be even elevated to the heavenly planets. That's one category. Then there are the transcendentalists, the yogis, who want to get liberation. They're not necessarily devotees of Krishna, but they want to get there, but they practice very seriously. But they go away. So they're given an opportunity to go to the heavenly planets and to persevere, or to given an opportunity to indulge their desire for sense gratification. But at the same time, they're given an opportunity in the next life to come back in the family of the transcendentalists. And Krishna goes on to say there that they're, from the beginning of their lives, they're naturally attracted to the yoga principles, to spiritual life, just very automatically, and that's because of the previous activities. Then there's another category, which is those who practice the Krishna consciousness, who are devotees of Krishna. They are devoted, and they've practiced devotional service, but they've gone away from that. They also maybe, if they practice for a short time and go away, they're also given opportunity to go into the heavenly planes where Krishna allows them to indulge in that. And at the same time, in the next life, they take birth in the family of the transcendentalists, and specifically in the family of devotees. The family of them, because they're very engaged in devotion. So they, in the next life, they take up the devotional path. They are attracted to Krishna. Or those who practice for a long time, especially devotees, and perhaps do not reach the perfection, they immediately come back in the family of devotees. They immediately come back in the family of devotees and continue on. So here Krishna goes on to such a birth is very rare to come back in the family of the devotees, as he explains in this in this purport. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj was born into the family of the devotees, and then he says here, and just by natural arrangement, he was able to get nice association and continue in the Krishna consciousness. So by natural. Now, unfortunately, not every one of us here has had the opportunity to be born in the family of the devotees. Some of our children now, of course, our children now, who they have been given opportunity to be born in the family of devotees. But many of us, myself and others, we didn't get a chance to be born in the family of devotees, so we're very unfortunate in that way. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, he has created a family of devotees for those who didn't get opportunity to be born in the family of devotees. So we're very fortunate that we can live in the family of devotees. We weren't born right from the beginning of a life, and it's very important in the beginning of life, because it is said that, what you learn in the beginning of your life, generally you just remember that through your whole life. It goes deep in the beginning. It is said that a child, a very young child, learns so many things just in a few short years. So if one in the very beginning learns these things, is a very good opportunity. To learn later is less of an opportunity. But Prabhupada being very kind, he's created the family and given engagement. He's like the father of the family of devotees all over the world. And he's created that family all over the world. He left his family and created a bigger family. And he often said that. I've left my smaller family and taken up the path of the sannyasi, but now I've got a bigger family than before, in that all of you are my sons and daughters. So you are my spiritual sons and daughters. So then Prabhupada, by his mercy, has created a family for all of us who didn't get the opportunity to be born in the family. And of course those who were born in the family, opportunity to continue in the family, and also the community of devotees of the family. That's like a double opportunity. Very, very wonderful. Of course, one has to choose themselves how much to take advantage of that situation. And but a good opportunity is there. And so Parikshit Maharaj was very blessed. I mean, the whole family was devoted. And his son, Jangmin Joy, and the family of devotees. Prabhupada comments that actually in one of these purports here, he says that we were very blessed also to be born in the family of devotees. My father was devotee, my mother was devotee, our whole family, my sister was devotee. He said, and our spiritual master came in the family of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he was very blessed. He actually says these are like a Vaishnava and Acharya families. Acharya families. Of course, these days sometimes someone will use I'm in the Acharya family, but they're not exactly following and whether they are Acharya families. But he said that our spiritual master, myself, we came in the family of devotees, so we were very, very blessed. And he went on to further say that actually still in India there are families like that produce great Vaishnavas generation after generation. They produce after generation their children are Vaishnavas, and the children of those children, they become Vaishnavas, and so generation after generation after the Vaishnavas come because of those wonderful families. But then again, it is up to the individual. Sometimes someone goes away from the family of devotees. They don't. That is their individual choice through bad association or through individual, a combination of all things. One can go that way. Now, Prabhupada goes on to say here there are two things very important for becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. To become a pure devotee, we'll look at two things that are very much essential. To be born in the family of devotee, have the blessings of the bona fide spiritual master. This is very, very important. So Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj was given good opportunity. He was saved by Krishna. Later on he was cursed, we've been reading, by Stringi, the unqualified son of the Brahmana. And he was cursed. But that curse, although those at a distance may see that, this is a great disaster, Parikshit took it as a great opportunity, and by that whole arrangement by Krishna, he was able to get the association and the instruction of Sukadeva Goswami. So it's a very wonderful outcome. And he saw it that way. Because of his upbringing, he was able to see. Now, because he had such an intense association even before he was born, here Prabhupada says he remembered that his whole life. He had the darshan, he saw the Supreme Lord, a nice description is given, before him, saving him, and he was so taken by that he just remained totally fixed. And here the word is, sati is used, very chaste. He didn't, chaste means you don't go to others, you're chaste. So he was a chaste devotee. He didn't try to go take up anything else or, indulge. Even in his position as king and emperor, he just saw himself as the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to try to be like that. We see ourselves as a whatever positions we have in the world or in the spiritual community, we have to see ourselves as representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Sukadeva Goswami was able to come, and so Maharaj Parikshit got very, very valuable instructions. He was a stalwart devotee, as Prabhupada, as I mentioned before, he was a stalwart devotee, and the stalwart devotee came to give instruction to the chaste devotee. So a very wonderful result will come from that, which we read here. Very wonderful result. The stalwart devotee gave further instructions. It's not that we can never have further instructions. Tuchanti chara manti chara. The devotees enjoy hearing the discussions of Krishna and learn more and more and more about Krishna, whether one is on the neophyte platform or whether one is very, very advanced. One enjoys and one can learn more and more, and sometimes we understand things, but then someone else, very stalwart devotee, comes and confirms those things, makes our heart stronger again. We need to have this type of thing. So it is very, very essential to get the nice family, so either born or created family, as I said, by Prabhupada, and then instruction of the Guru, very, very essential. So one can have one thing, but if it doesn't have the other thing, then it's not complete. So you need both. You need the nice association in the family, then you need those very intense and uplifting instructions of the Guru, instructions and example of the Guru. Very, very important, very essential, as Prabhupada says here. So Sukadeva Goswami was like that. Just like today is the anniversary of the appearance of Shamananda Prabhu and also the appearance anniversary of Vamsidas. He's known variously as Vamsi Vadan or Vamsi Vardhananda Thakur, and it is said that today is the appearance on today is the full moon. Also today is the anniversary of Balaram Rasayatra. You know, when one time Balaram went back to Vrindavan when he was in Dwarka, and he visited Vrindavan, that just to assuage, just to placate the residents of Vrindavan. And while there for 2 months, he went and had he went with the gopis and had a Rasa Leela dance every night, and started on the full moon. Also today is the anniversary of Krishna Vasant Rasayatra. Rasayatra means Rasa Leela dance. So Krishna does many Rasa Leela dance, but two are very prominent. One is in the Vasant, one is in the spring. Of course, here is our autumn, but in India is the spring. So there are 2 times. Vasant means the spring, and the other one is in the month of Damodar, where on the full moon. So very prominent Rasa Leelas on the full moon, both in the autumn, in the month of Kartik month, and now. In the Kartik month, it's more observed in Bengal, because I've been in Mayapur at that time, when that, and that's very much, they hold a big festival there in Mayapur, and unbelievable amounts of people come to Mayapur for that. It's not so much observed there in Vrindavan, but so much in Bengal, and so much, and I mean, I couldn't even get in the temple room. When I was upstairs, I was in that. I usually stay in that guest house in the conch building, and so to get in the temple room, you couldn't get in. The line going in to, you know, they line up outside. You lived there, right? So you know all about that. That's why she's laughing. It went right out past the Samadhi and out the gate. I don't know how far it went out on Bhakti-siddhanta Road. But you just can't get in. In the end, I figured out. I went down that secret way down where the Pujari rooms are, you know, and I went in through that way. But there's no way you can get in. And even when I got in, and you're just like up against the wall. They're very, very popular in Bengal. That this particular this anniversary, and generally now they've said that they're supposed to dress the deities in yellow. And at the time of this Rasa Leela, of course it goes on in Vrindavan as well, and they leave out sweet rice out there for the Lord to enjoy and the gopis to enjoy. They leave the sweet rice out on the full moon. It said that when you leave the sweet rice out on the full moon at a certain time, then it makes the sweet rice sweeter. Gives it extra flavour. They leave the pots of sweet rice out on the full moon tonight. Well, we should see the full moon. So the full moon. So also Balaram danced for 2 months when he went to Vrindavan. So there's the anniversary of those 2 days today. And also now Vamsi Vadan Thakur, or Vamsi Nandan Thakur, or Vamsi Das, it sometimes is known as, very interesting. He is the incarnation of Krishna's flute. Krishna's flute. Krishna plays wonderful flute, and the flute is a personality. And he desired to participate in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the whole description of Vamsidas, the flute incarnation who appeared in Chaitanya Leela. And he appeared, and there's a description of his family and everything like that. He had sons also, and so on and so forth. But he very much, he was a great singer and poet. And also there's a nice description of he came a little bit later on, that it is said both Advaita Acharya and Mahaprabhu were present when he was born. So he came, quite some time. Now that was still in Navadvip, so it was before Lord Chaitanya went to Jagannath Puri. But so he appeared a little later on, and as he grew up, he was deputed to serve Sachimata and be the protector of Sachimata and Vishnupriya. And Vishnupriya, protection and serve them, look after them. Because by that time Jagannath Mishra had passed away. So so he was deputed along with others, but he was one of them, to look after them. And when Lord Chaitanya went to, there's a nice story about when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas and went to live in Jagannath Puri, he was there with Vishnu Priya, and they were so much missing the association of Lord Chaitanya, they both decided just to fast and just do chanting. So after some time, Lord Chaitanya appeared to them both. He appeared before them both while they were chanting and doing fasting or tapasya. And he said, I do not approve you fasting like this in such an extreme way. He said, you make my deity and you worship me every day like that. And in this way, your feelings of separation will be reduced. So no need to continue in this way. And that's when Vishnu Priya organized and Vamsi organized the deity of Lord Chaitanya, and they worship. So today is the anniversary of Vamsi Das Thakur. The incarnate Vamsi means it's a type of flute. Krishna has different Vamsi and Murali and so on. So he has different type of Vamsi is one of they're all different sizes and so on. So Vamsi is one of the flutes of Krishna that Krishna plays. But he is the flute. And he's incarnated in Chaitanya Leela. So then, of course, Shyamananda is very famous. Shyamananda is very famous. So he came there with Narottam and also at the time who was Srinivas, they're very famous Sri. They came a little bit after the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he was born in Orissa, and his parents, mother had children, but they died in birth. And so they prayed, and a boy appeared to them, and they were so afraid that he might get taken also that somehow they named him Duki, or Dukini, which means sad. He's come as a result of sadness. So they named him Duki. And then one time he wanted to go, I'm just summarizing the story because it's a very long story, and I just remembered I had a whole a book. It's actually called Shyamananda Prakash. I forgot I had it, but then I found it. And it's called Shyamananda Prakash. It's compiled by a devotee of Shyamananda by the name of Krishna Charan, who was around that time. But very wonderful stories there about Shyamananda Prabhu. But anyway, one time he wanted to go to take bath in the Ganga, and he went there, and that's when he met his guru, Hridaya Chaitanya. And Hridaya Chaitanya actually initiated him. He never went back. He never went back home. He just stayed there, and he initiated a guy named Duki Krishnadas. He said, well, you'll be now Duki Krishnadas. And then he instructed him to go to Braja and serve under Jiva Goswami. So he did that. I'm cutting a long story short here, summarizing. And there's many other incidents there. But he did that, and Jiva Goswami asked him to clean and do so many services and clean the different kunjas. And most of us know there's different variants of this story, but I'll just tell you a little bit about the one in Shyamananda Prakash. In that one time when he was going and cleaning the kunj, he saw an area that was glowing gold, and he looked down and he saw a bracelet there. And so he picked it up, and his whole hand was glowing, and he felt shivering and ecstasy and like that, and he was just calling out Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna. This had happened because it is said that in Vrindavan there's always dancing and Rasa Leela going on even today, but in another dimension than what we perceive. There's always going on. So Radha and Krishna were dancing, and Radharani lost her bracelet there, and it fell there. And then when she got home, she said it was missing, so she sent Lalita to find it. And Lalita saw from a distance that this person had it, so she disguised herself as an old maidservant lady. And she came there and asked him about it, that I'm looking for, my mistress has lost her mango bracelet, and have you seen it? So he replied, there's a very wonderful conversation that goes on here, and he asked her, well, what's it look like? Like all that type of thing. Such and so he was asking, of course, he kind of knew that, you know, this was the actual bracelet, but he just was asking just to have a conversation. So that and he said, who is the who is your mistress? And actually Lolita didn't want to divulge anything. Said she didn't want anyone to know. She just wanted to sit back. So could you give it? No, you have to. You're not fully. You're not fully telling me everything. You know, I don't know. And the discussion goes like this. I don't know if you're telling the truth here. You know, you might have just heard this from someone else and come running here yourself to get it. And so he was saying all these types of things. So anyway, after some time, she said that, oh, well, all right, but I will reveal myself to you, but whether you'll be able to take that revealing is another thing. But you're not to tell anyone else. You can tell Jiva Goswami and no one else, confidential. So she revealed herself to him as Lolita. And so he was he fainted, and then he got up and he touched her feet and everything like that, and then the whole conversation was going on, and so she blessed him. And actually he said, yes, I buried it. And so he went back there and she went back with him, and he dug it up. And when he dug it up, he found that even the spade, the iron spade that he had also turned golden. Just by the touch of that bracelet, it was golden. And then so he gave it to her, and she touched him. They had two lines and one in the middle with that, and it made a permanent imprint. And she also put them, and she said, another name of my mistress is Sham or Shami. So you will be known as Shamananda. And she made the imprint of the tilak, and she wrote it on his chest. And then at that touch, now there's different variants of this. Some say, some write, and some you read sometimes it was Radharani that did all this. But this particular version is that actually it was Lolita that did all this. And anyway, so then his whole body turned golden. He became golden. And he had that tilak and everything like that. So then she disappeared. And then he went back, and Jiva Goswami saw him. What happened to you? He became golden. And he had this tilak, and so he didn't want to say immediately. So then no, and then he noticed there was a golden glow over there in the corner of his room, and so what's going on here? Then he saw the spade, and he saw the bracelet. So then he had to explain everything, but he said this is just confidential. So so this got around. This is a very interesting story. This got around, and then everyone started to speak, and it sort of. It got exaggerated, and some were saying everyone kind of knew he was a disciple of Hridaya Chaitanya, and his name was Dukhi Krishnadas. And then all of a sudden he's got this jivas calling him Shamananda. So they were starting to think that, maybe Jiva Goswami has reinitiated him. And they became perturbed. This is not proper, that one is already initiated by a guru, another guru comes along and reinitiates them. And this is not good at all. So it all got back to Hridaya Chaitanya. So he was very upset. What's going on? You know, I've initiated him, given him the name, and Jiva Goswami has reinitiated him. And now he's got the name Shamananda. So he was very perturbed, and he wrote a letter questioning the whole thing. He said this was not done by Lord Chaitanya or by Nityananda, by any of the associates. This is improper. So anyway, this is a whole leela that's going on. So he sent a letter with some disciples back to Vrindavan. And then so they asked Jiva Goswami, and Jiva Goswami, he couldn't actually reveal totally the truth because he'd been sworn to confidentiality. Then he just said that, well, in a dream, that Dukhi Krishnadas saw his guru came and told him, and gave him the name Shamananda. It was his guru that actually gave him the name. So then they questioned Dukhi Krishna, and he said, yes, no, I'm still his disciple, but the guru came in a dream because he couldn't reveal anything either. A very wonderful story. And then, and so that was reported back. But Hridaya Chaitanya was very skeptical. Well, I didn't come in any dream. I would have known that if I came in a dream. And who believes dreams anyway? So there's a whole conversation that went on like that. And so this was going on. And then so he gathered, he said, this is very improper. He became indignant. And it seems that Jiva Goswami is very deceiving here. He's just saying something, but actually the situation is something else. So he gathered a whole group of Mahants, learned Brahmanas and everything like that, Vaishnava, and they all went to Braja, right? So Hriday was very upset with his disciples. This is not proper, this is not done, how have you done that? He questioned Jiva. They told the same story. And then he said, well, all right, I'm going to get one of these Mahants will you talk about this tilak and this, I'm going to wipe that tilak off, wipe that name up, and let's see if it stays there. If you're actually, Shamananda, and you wanted to. So it is said that Shamananda said, can I give my answer in a couple of days about what you request, whether you can do like that? And then he went into a meditation. It's a very wonderful story. And he went into meditation. In that meditation, he became a gopi by the name of Kanaka Manjari. Became Manjari, Kanaka Manjari. And then when he was crying, then some of the gopis noticed him. They went to Lalita, and then Lalita came up, and they said, and she knew everything. So she brought him to Radharani. And Radharani said, and he explained everything. I'm in a very fix now because my guru is upset, and can you save the situation? She said, don't worry, we'll make all arrangements. So then when they came to wash off the tilak, then it came back even brighter than before. And then when they tried to wash off the name Shamananda, it came back brighter than before. It's very wonderful incidents. I can go into more stories there about this whole. So Shamananda's appearance day today. Later on, he was actually asked by Jiva Goswami to go to Orissa and spread the teachings of the Goswamis there in Orissa. So but it goes to show that the relationship between the Guru and the disciple. I thought that I'd mention these stories, and following the Guru, getting the blessings of the Guru, that Shamananda was very perturbed about that he had offended that his Guru thought that he had committed an offence. So one needs the blessings of the Guru, and I had to preserve that very nice. And the blessings of the Guru, of course, is giving the instruction, showing the example, how to remain very steady and firm on the path of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I can take maybe one question because now we've already run over the time. Any one question at all? Or we can, yes.
I'm wondering, in the first part of the class, about when you were speaking about the transcendentalists to practice for a short time or a long time.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's people who go to the heavenly planets, is there an option? Is there an opportunity for devotional service even in Svarga, or can you make advances from there, or do you have to come back down to make advancement again?
Well, generally that's the principle. They do come back down, although it is said that from the heavenly planets, if one gets the mercy of a great devotee there, one can go from there. It doesn't have to come back down. Just like if Narad Muni, Prabhupada has mentioned, like Narad Muni or some great Vaishnava goes there and they get the mercy there in the heavenly planet, and they can stay there and persevere there. Although the general principle is, here as it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada also further elaborates on it, that one will come down from there and get the opportunity. Generally, this is the place where you can go down or you can go up. So generally the earth. The heavens are, you're getting the result of your karma. But if the great devotees are there also, then from there even you can go up to the high position of spirituality. So that's the understanding. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.